there were so many agents coming through to me, especially when they're new in their business and they want to be successful. They want to take their business to the next level. But there's only one obstacle that's sitting in their way, and it's called low inventory. Basically, not having stock. So, really, today, this actually came on the back of so many conversations. It's Stuart, I actually don't have enough stock, or I actually have got low inventory. And the second part of that is, what is enough? Because I've been speaking to agents and they say, hey, 8 listings is enough, 10 listings is enough, 40 listings is enough. What is enough? Well, the big thing here is the number of stock items that you have in your inventory. It's not about the quantity, it's about the quality of those particular listings. So that's just one thing to bear in mind. It's very easy to go out and actually get listings. You can go up to anybody who's wanting to sell their property and use the good old fashioned. If they are looking at selling their property and the average in the area is, say, 2 million, you go up to them and say, hey, it's Stuart here. I'd love to list your property. Why don't we list it at 3 million? And suddenly 3 million has jumped into that seller's head, and they are going to go, absolutely, you can get me 3 million. And what do? They give you a sole and exclusive mandate. It's an old-fashioned technique to help you to get listings. However, that's not a quality listing. Why? Because it's overpriced. So we need to take it back where we actually start getting quality listings. So what is a quality listing? Well, when I look at listings, a quality listing is a listing that should be able to sell within 7 to 14 days. Now, 7 to 14 days sounds like a short term, but that's ultimately where you're wanting to get through to. You want to make sure that the quality of the property, as far as the condition is good, the location is great, but more importantly, the price. The price is always that underlying number. If the price is not right, it doesn't matter if it's a lovely property. It doesn't matter about the features and locations. The price is what matters. So, how many of those good quality listings should you actually have? Well, it actually boils down to this. You need to work out how many properties you would like to sell every single month. Now, for many, hitting that magical number of 2 properties every single month so that you're selling 24 properties a year is really what's going to change your life when you're starting to move forward. So you want to then ultimately end up with 2 good sellable properties. Now, we know for a fact that you could have a property that's the location is correct, the condition is correct, and even the price is correct. However, that little fourth element of marketing might have just shifted, and we're not getting the awareness on that particular property. So, how many properties should we have? Well, the ratio that's currently running in the industry for every 4 good quality properties that you have, so 4 good quality properties, that's location, condition, and price, you should sell one of those without blinking. So 4 good quality listings, you should be able to sell one. So if you want to do 2 a month, you need to have a minimum of 8 good quality listings. Now, there's a little factor that comes into this because you could have a good quality listing. So condition, location, and price, but it's on an open mandate. And the problem with the open mandate is it could be sold by some other agent. So when we refer to those 8 listings, they need to be sole mandates. So this is where your focus needs to go in. So you need to make sure that you're sitting with, if you want to sell 2 properties a month, you need to make sure that you've got at least 8 sole mandates that fall into that category of quality listings. Now, when we start looking at that and we say, Stuart, that's fantastic. This is absolutely fantastic. I'm really looking forward to getting those 8 sole mandates that fall into that particular category. But here's a bit of a snag. The inventory at the moment is very low. There's not that many sellers out there. So what do I do? How do I get those 8 quality listings? So this is something that Really, it boils down to this little saying, and I learned this early in my real estate career. In fact, when I used to sit in the little cubicle making my phone calls to get a listing, I had this little slogan that was up in front of my screen. And it started like this: no inventory equals no income, which equals no business. And when I read that, it really started to drive me because one, I wanted a successful business. So in order to have a successful business, I needed to have income. In order for me to get income, I needed inventory. So every morning when I used to sit down and do my canvassing, that was the actual slogan that sat in front of me. No inventory equals no income, which equals no business. And that gave me my drive. I needed to get the inventory. How did I get that inventory? Well, one of the big things, and there's two tips that I want to share with you today. The first, good business, good quality listings generally comes from your sphere of influence. Now, what is sphere of influence? These are the people that know you, trust you, and they want to do business with you. In fact, a sphere of influence, if you walk past them in a shopping center, you'll actually stop and say, hey, how's it going? How are the kids? How's business going? You'll actually be able to have a social conversation with them, not just on a formal basis. So the first is that sphere of influence. And what I did when I started is I looked at my database. I looked at all the contacts on my phone and I went through each one of them. And I said to myself, who of these particular contacts could I just give a phone call and have a basic conversation with? And in fact, when I started looking at their numbers, it was sitting at less than 10 individuals that I could actually phone right now and just have a social conversation with me. Now, I had over 1,600 numbers on my phone because I'd been scraping numbers and putting them on my phone and really just going out there. But there were only about 10. It was actually less than 10 that were in my sphere of influence. And I quickly realized this is why my business was struggling, because I needed to grow. When I look at all the listings that I've had over the years, the ones where I listed a property and sold it within 24 to 48 hours, it was a referral through my sphere of influence. So this was something, and I'd also spoken to a lot of top performing agents, and they said the same sphere of influence. So I started to grow my sphere of influence. Now, that can be something of a challenge because how do you just grow your sphere of influence? Well, you have to have conversations. And where does it start? It starts with your sphere of influence. Hey, it's Stuart. How are you doing? How's the family? How's business going? No, fantastic. Well, do you know that I'm in real estate? Oh, it's been going well. Really enjoying this progress and having this freedom to actually go through. And really, what I'm doing at the moment is I'm actually just, introducing all my friends, just letting them know I'm in real estate. And if you know anybody, I'd love to have a conversation with them. So it started with the sphere of influence, a nice social conversation, introducing myself, really enjoying what I'm doing, which I was 100% enjoying, and then moving it on, saying, hey, do you know anybody else that I can have a conversation with? And that became a warm lead, and I would have a conversation with that individual, and I'd slowly start to build up those relationships. And it is a slow process. It's not something that happens overnight. So the first tip that I'm going to share with you is look at all the contacts on your phone, identify the individuals that you can have a social conversation with. Start with them, start speaking to them, and starting to build your business as an awareness with them. So that's the first tip that I wanted to share with you. Now, the second one was really I wanted to expedite my business. I wanted to take my business and I wanted to grow quickly. And there was something that I discovered. There are lots of businesses in the suburb that I stay in. So whether it's a fast food outlet, whether it's a tire replacement, a garage, doctors and dentists, these are businesses that are also wanting to grow. We've all got a common interest. And this was something that I was actually sitting at a doctor waiting for my wife. She was actually with the doctor. I was actually just sitting there. And I thought to myself, look at all these people sitting in the waiting room. And they are extremely sociable with the receptionist. That receptionist is talking to them and knows everything about everybody. And it was like a light bulb moment that went off. It was in that moment I got up, I walked up to the receptionist, I introduced myself, and I started having a conversation. And in that conversation, I led on, I'm a real estate agent. And I said, if you ever find anybody, just make contact. And I gave her my card. And I carried on having that conversation until my wife was done and we paid and we left. It was not only about a week after that, I got an inquiry that came from that receptionist. And it was at that moment that I got to realize the second biggest tip for all real estate agents is the local businesses. Take the time to go to those local businesses. Take the time to introduce yourself to the owner, the receptionist, the people, the staff within it. Get them to know you because they've got a client base. When you get to know the businesses at a level of a social level, suddenly you start getting referral business. But then I started taking it one step further. I could see that there was a tire place that was just around the corner from us. And I went there and I met them and I had my tires done. And I suddenly thought, wait a minute, why don't I speak to them to hand out one of their pamphlets? And I said to them, hey, have you got pamphlets? And what I will do is I will actually have my details printed on one side and we'll have your details printed on the other side. And we'll go into this together. And what I'll do is I will take all of your pamphlets and I will disperse them into the neighborhood. Basically going door to door, putting them in the box, meeting people and hand them out robots, etc. And I started to build the business by helping other businesses. Now, when someone received that particular flyer, if they weren't interested in real estate, they may have been interested in the tires. If they weren't interested in the tires, they may have been interested in real estate. So it had a double-edged sword to it. But also, those same brochures and pamphlets were sitting at the tire place. So when people came in to get their tires done, they would take a particular brochure, and guess what? My details were on the back. And it was a win-win situation. So another story that I'd love to share with you is whenever you sell a property, one of the big things is giving those gifts. And what I used to do was instead of giving a gift, I used to buy them pizzas. And they move into their property and choose Bob, at 7 p.m. that night, while they're all flustered, they actually have a pizza arrived. And we had a small, brand new pizza shop that just opened. And I love Italian and I love pizza. And I met with them and I said to them, I'll do the exact same thing. One side is your menu, the other side is for myself. And then I started to take it one step further, where I used to then order pizzas from the little pizza shop and get it delivered to those particular clients. Now, there is a little bit of a side note on this, is throughout the journey of that particular transaction, I got to know those buyers. And I would always ask them right up front, we've signed the offer. Oh, fantastic. Do you like Italian? Do you like pizza? I love pizza. What's your favorite pizza? Obviously, I've got a purpose behind that, and I would take those informations down. So when it came to the day of the hand-in, I already knew what pizza they liked. And I would then hand that over and get it delivered, paid for and delivered, which is a nice, easy way that have a meal. I knew it got delivered at 7 o'clock because that's when I'd set it up. And normally right about 7:45, I'd give them a call, just saying, hey, how are things going? Did you enjoy your meal? Just want to make sure everything is settled. And that's how you slowly start to build that tip number one, the sphere of influence. Because this was bringing them back in, taking it to that social level, and they loved this. And they would then start to share everything out there. So the big thing that I wanted to share with you today is one, I don't have enough stock. And two, what is enough? So what is enough? Well, you need to have a look at the number of listings that you actually have. And ultimately, if you want to sell 2 properties a month, you need to have at least 4 quality listings. And remember, quality listings, it's price, location, as well as condition. And then it needs to be mandated because you don't want that good quality property listed with somebody else because they may sell it. So 4 quality listings to get one particular sale. So if you want 2, you get up to 8. If you want 3, get up to 12. Just work those numbers. But how do we get those listings? Well, tip number 1, speak to your sphere of influence. It's your sphere of influence, and it's the people you know. I want you to go through your phone. I want you to extract those names and numbers of those people that you can have a social conversation with. And you have a conversation with them, give them a phone call and do a quick little intro and say, hey, how are things going? Build that database and ask them if they know anybody else. And that'll slowly start to build it. And the second one, and this one really expedited my business because business owners got to know me, build up that database of business owners and leverage from each other. Meet them, introduce, have conversations, get them to know who you are. Petrol attendants, you name it, anybody that's in the business, because they've got customers coming past them all the time. And you can start to build on top of that to help you to grow your business. And then ultimately, my favorite is always the pizzas afterwards, because that's how I then convert them into that sphere of influence, and then it starts to grow. So what you will find is over your time, make sure you're building the relationships. Remember, I always had this little slogan in my cubicle in front of me: no inventory equals no income, which equals no business. And I wanted to have a successful business, which meant I needed income, which meant I needed inventory. So this is what I wanted to share with you today. And it's something that really has come out of so many people that I've spoken to. What's the magical number? How do I start to grow my businesses? It is actually a very simple process. It's relationships. That's the bottom line. It's relationships. And I hope you enjoyed that, because this was really the start of my business. And just spending 2 days with agents yesterday, it really highlighted it again, because there are so many new agents that have come in looking for that inspiration and drive for their business, but they haven't got there yet. Go and start working on that particular database, identify your sphere of influence, and then set yourself a goal. Let's get between 5 and 10 local businesses that knows who you are, and work out how you can leverage to help you to go forward. So I want to wish all of you a fantastic day. Remember, this is Frequently Answered Friday, the place where I help to answer the questions that come to me throughout the week. So remember, if you have a question, don't hesitate. You can always send it and email it to me. You can WhatsApp it to me. You can give me a phone call. I'm here to assist you, and I'll take that and I can put it into this session. Guys, you have a fantastic day further, and I cannot wait to see your listings getting sold.